Hello. This is a video talking about sensory processing in people with schizophrenia. Now, if you have any of these symptoms, don't just jump to conclusions like, oh my god, I must be schizophrenic. There is a disorder called sensory processing disorder. In addition to schizophrenia, we see these symptoms in autism spectrum disorders such as Asperger's and autism of any kind. And sometimes we see this in people with OCD, someone with a tumor in the brain, someone with bipolar might have different sensory needs when they switch from manic or hypomanic back to depressive or back to a neutralized state. Sensory needs could change there. So there are many different reasons a person could be experiencing this. The most common, of course, would just be that you have just some kind of sensory processing disorder. I don't know about if that's on a spectrum or not, but typically you will have these issues with schizophrenics and autistic people. The other ones are pretty much sort of hit or miss. But let's get down to the symptoms. Now the first is changing needs in sensory. So one day I could need my music very loud. The next day I would not be able to have any music playing. Or this could change from an hour to hour. And I know, most people don't want music, or, they get in the mood when they want to listen to it. There's a mood when they don't. It's that simple for a lot of people. But, there's a difference between wanting it and needing it. And there's some days a person may not be able to wear a shirt at all, even if it's cold, forcing them to stay inside because that feeling of the shirt on their upper body is just too much, or, they might not be able to wear socks for a day because it's bothering them. Then the next day, a week later or whatever, it's actually hot out, but the person has to have a long sleeve sweater on because they need that feeling on their lower arm versus a week ago they didn't. That's kind of where you see it, but it's most common in sounds and sights, but other senses like smells and tastes, of course. Some people constantly need to have gum. I think that is a reason that a lot of schizophrenic people smoke cigarettes, is because it's a sensory on the smell, the sight. You taste it, you feel it, you smell it, you see it, and you might be able to hear it crackling, or you have some good music playing while you're smoking, and you're calming all 5 of your sensory inputs. Or when someone constantly needs to have, oh, she's cleaning herself. When someone constantly needs to have a taste in their mouth, I wonder what she's doing. I'm getting distracted, sorry. And you can have sensory issues from it's way too cold in here, and then it's the same temperature, but an hour later it's too hot. Things like that. And of course with hallucinations, this is also an issue in sensory. You're not processing the right sounds. Your brain is hearing things that aren't really there. But that's still, it's been proven that when a schizophrenic person hears voices or sees things, they do react the same way that the brain would when they're just hearing someone else speak. And I think this might be a large reason as to why you would see sensory processing disorders in people with schizophrenia. Another issue to talk about is sensory flooding. That is an overload. So, loud music, blinking lights. Epilepsy is another disorder where sensory changes occur. Because, a person could have a seizure. A non-epileptic person could have a seizure from sensory overload at a concert, with a bunch of blinking lights and loud music and weird smell in the air, you're drinking. And, so all 5 of your sensory inputs are, there's people shoving up on you. All 5 sensory inputs are overloading. That could cause at least as some sort of breakdown, if not a seizure. But epilepsy, it's more so you can't take as much sensory input as it is where it changes. It's still an issue in processing, though. I guess I don't actually have epilepsy. This is my understanding. If anyone does, feel free to let me know how it actually works for you in the comments. I'd love to hear about that. It'd be very interesting. As far as medication goes, I don't know if there are that many medications that are effective for treating sensory issues other than sleeping pills or anxiety relief medication. Antipsychotics can bring you to a neutralized state. Yeah, the main thing to watch out for is sensory flooding. But the same sorts of issues can happen when there's not enough sensory. This can make a person feel kind of like they're going crazy because they're searching. You're searching for something. That's what we call it at my job. I actually work in a unit for low-functioning schizophrenics and autistic people, doing daily care for them, and we call that sensory flooding. I have one client who has an ice vest. He hates it, but I see the idea there. He hates that fucking thing. Oh my god. But he has sensory processing issues too. I actually have a screening coming up to see why exactly I'm having these issues, and I recommend anyone that's having the similar symptoms to go maybe talk to a psych or talk to your local doctor. A psych would be better. Even your counselor. Just, get a second opinion, see what you think it could be. If you have, obsessions, it could have OCD or autism. If you're having hearing things, it could be schizophrenia. If you're only having problems with different sensations and needing different sensories and it's kind of throwing you off, it might just be sensory processing disorder. There's no real one answer until you can name other symptoms. So thanks for watching. Next video is going to be about some medication.